Unfiltered by Jade.
Jade.
Welcome to the Unfiltered by Jade, where we educate, empower, and entertain. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, download, donate, and make everybody know about this.
Beats by RB Records.
Shopping assistance, your style, your budget. Our services include online and local shopping for individuals and businesses, personal shopping, purchasing of company and office supplies, importing and exporting small packages across Jamaica and worldwide, and helping you find unique gifts and items for all events and occasions. Contact us at 876-919-5195 or shoppingassistance2015@gmail.com. Shopping Assistance, your style, your budget.
Welcome to the Unfiltered by Jade. Today we have with us here Shieke Sharpe, and she's here to speak with us about forensic accounting. Now, Shieke is the owner of Shieke Sharpe Consulting. She's a lecturer, she's a director of Future Bright Foundations Inc., and I'm sure she does many more things. Today we'll be speaking about forensic accounting. Many people don't have a clue what that is. So, before we jump into it, hi Shieke, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm great. I hope you're doing good too.
I am. Thanks.
Awesome. All right. So we're going to jump into it. Not many people understand or know what forensic accounting is. So can you explain to us how forensic accounting differs from traditional?
Okay, good question. So yes, a lot of people are not aware of what forensic accounting is. So traditional accounting, they focus on recording, classifying, summarizing financial transactions so they can prepare a standard financial statements. Its primary purpose is really to provide accurate, timely information for, like, say, management, investors, tax authorities. On the other hand, forensic accounting concentrates on investigating financial data for potential fraud. So once you have a forensic accountant, usually we're looking for something. There are times when we will work with companies as well to prevent fraud. So forensic accountants, we analyze data specifically to uncover unusual patterns, to uncover fraud, any financial irregularities, and we help with providing evidence in legal cases.
Sounds good.
Yes.
That sounds very much interesting. What are the most common types of financial fraud that forensic accountants uncover, in case anybody wants to know?
Right. So one of the most common one that you'll have a lot of companies have is asset misappropriation. And this is simply things like embezzlement. So if you have an employee embezzling money from the company, stealing the inventory, those are things that are common in asset misappropriation. Then you have like financial statement fraud. This is where you have like management overstating revenue, falsifying the reports because they want it to look good. We have payroll fraud where people will inflate hours. They'll put that they work overtime when they didn't. They'll even go to the extent of creating like ghost employees. So they have someone on the book who is really not an employee there, and they're persons, but they're the one who is actually getting the money. There's another one where if you're like, say, top management and you have to submit, say, reimbursement. For reimbursement, sometimes they'll do like sending duplicate receipts. So they'll send one receipt, especially if it's a big company. They'll send a receipt at the beginning of the month, and then like 10 days later, they'll submit the same receipt. And without, people are not really looking at things like that sometimes. So then they get paid like twice. So those are some of the very common ones that you'll find in a lot of companies.
Interesting. How do forensic accountants collaborate with law enforcement, attorneys, or courts during investigation?
So we go to court. We go to court and we testify as well. We're called like expert witnesses. So for example, in a divorce, people are going through a divorce, you have one spouse hiding money, so we'll be called on the stand to kind of go through the things that you find, because no, you're like the expert witness. And there are times, if you've watched like those criminal shows where they go to court on order, you'll have people take the stand and they're expert witnesses. You're like, how long have you been doing this? Like the doctors and stuff. Have you ever seen things like this?
Right.
Yeah, so it's something like that. We work with them. We usually assess the potential for the fraud first, and then we collect the evidence, provide documentation, analyze the data, and then investigate and then show up at court if we need to.
So you work with divorces, so it's not just companies alone you work with.
Correct, yes.
So Shieke, on helping people to get more money man in divorce.
Yes, you'll be surprised how many spouses are trying to hide money as soon as they hear that they're going through a divorce. They'll start transferring money to their family members, their mother, their cousins, their brother, whoever it is. In businesses too, they'll start to buy some unnecessary expenses so their net income is low, so the partner can get as much as they would have gotten if they didn't make those purchases. So yes, it's interesting. And as a nosy person, I'm naturally a nosy person, like genuinely a nosy person. So I love doing forensic accounting. It's like digging into things and finding out things, and I get so excited.
My goodness, can you mean unearthing people's money and saying that I want to hear?
Yes.
We found that you're trying to hide. What are the ethical and legal implications of forensic?
So this is the thing, like you have to be an ethical person. I feel like you have to be ethical in becoming a forensic accountant. We have to maintain objectivity. We have to avoid any conflict of interest or bias. So even you'll have people going and be like, oh, this person deserved the money. And they will kind of gear their investigation towards trying to find money for the person, but you really have to avoid any kind of bias. We are expected to approach investigation neutrally. We have to be confidential, we have to be accurate and diligent, we have to be transparent, and of course, we have to be competent. So whatever case you take on, you have to make sure you're able to perform those duties.
What challenges do forensic accountants face when dealing with cryptocurrencies, offshore accounts, or complex tax evasion schemes?
So this is kind of like the hardest part of our job right now, because say for like cryptocurrencies, those often operate in a decentralized networks, and the users are represented by like wallet addresses rather than real names. So that makes it difficult to link transactions to specific individuals. Then we have like for offshore accounts, the jurisdictions often allow for creation of like complex corporate structures. They have shell companies, they have trust. So it's really easy to hide the true ownership of those assets. So we may need to investigate multiple layers, of ownership and identify individuals who control the different entities. Complex tax evasion schemes, that's really hard. It includes shell companies again, partnerships, trust. And when you have so many different layers, it really becomes difficult. But despite those challenges, we have like analytical tools, we have blockchain tracking software, and those things definitely help to overcome those challenges.
Question though, with doing this forensic accounting, it seems like because you're trying to uncover things that are hidden, or it seems like it may take a long time to do so. Does it take so long, or with the technology that you have now, it's not as long or hard to find information as it was if you didn't have these kind of technologies?
Correct. So it is a lot. It's time consuming, especially when you have a lot of data. But we have tools, like we have tools specifically for forensic accountants, and we can dump like a big old Excel file into something and just generates whatever we need. So it makes it easier than it used to be. But yes, it can be very time consuming regardless, because you have to go through data.
That sounds tedious.
The tedious part, the tools, the software, those things kind of take the tedious part. So now you just have the information that you need to work with. So before, yes, 10, 15, 20 years ago, of course, it's going to take hours. And that's where you'll get like an intern or someone and say, hey, go through these Excel files, or go through these bank statements, go through this. But we have tools that we can literally put like bank statements in and it just generate what we want, and then we use that information to just do our investigation.
Lovely. What
Yeah.
advice would you give to someone interested in pursuing this career in forensic accounting?
So I'm a CPA, right? Certified public accountant. I have a master's degree in forensic accounting. I have a bachelor's degree in regular accounting and business administration, majoring in accounting. I feel like the first thing you want to do is build a strong foundation in accounting and finance. So most of us, we start with a bachelor's degree. We have a solid foundation in traditional accounting. That is key. You have to understand accounting.
So if you're not good with maths,
I'm not saying math, but I feel like you need to be an accountant. So a lot of people think, that's the thing. A lot of people think being an accountant, you have to be good at math. That's not really the case, because accounting is not only math, right? Even like for forensic accounting, yes, you need to know numbers, but I don't like when people say, "Oh, so you're good at math." Like, I use my calculator for everything. I'm not a math genius, right? But you definitely want to make sure you're good at accounting. So you have to have some form of accounting background.
okay.
And then, after you get like a degree there, you want to make sure you get certified. Like I said, I'm a CPA and I'm also a CFE. So that's like Certified Fraud Examiner. That's another certification that is really, really good. The CPA helps, demonstrate the mastery in accounting. And then the CFE geared towards fraud detection and investigation. I would say after they get that down, get the knowledge in accounting, then you want to develop investigative and analytical skills. For me, I worked in audit before at one of the big four accounting firm, and that was where I got like most of my experience in, analyzing data and stuff like that. You have to develop a strong communication skill. I still struggle with that, and I'm like, listen, I'll have someone write my report. I tell them what happened because, like, again, I'm a numbers person naturally, and so writing is not really my style, or but you definitely want to make sure you develop some, and you learn as you go. It's never a time where it's like, okay, you can't learn no more, right? We learn every day. So I still work on my communication skills, especially being Jamaican too. It's like we talk different, or words are different. For example, like color, the difference in spelling in the US. So I'm still working on like my communication skills. So you definitely want to build a strong foundation in accounting, develop investigative and analytical skills, develop strong communication skills, and then get experience, whether through, a big four like I did, which I'm very grateful for that, or just a regular company, just get the experience.
Sounds good. I'm going to throw something at you.
Sure.
What are some of the misconceptions of forensic accounting?
It's for forensic accounting misconception. There are not a lot of misconceptions just because it's not as popular, right? Like, say for the traditional accounting, people are, oh, you have to be good at math. Like for forensic accounting, I feel like every time I mention it, someone is like, what is
So
that?
that's a misconception. So that's one of the misconceptions.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yes, it could be, yes. But I feel like whenever I have a conversation, I'm like, hey, I'm a forensic accountant, or, I'm a CPA first. I always say I'm a CPA first, but then I do forensic accounting. They're like, okay, what is that? So I don't feel like it's that popular for people to have their own definition of what it is, or having misconceptions of what it is, because it's not as common, if that makes sense.
So we can say from the conversation that we just had, one of them, the misconception is just about numbers, which it's not just about numbers. Number two, it can be that it's only for large fraud cases, which that probably is not the case.
It's not, right? Look at you. You asking me and telling me the answers. Yes. So yes, a lot of people might think, oh, you have to be going through like some big case, some big fraud thing that is here on the TV. But you know what? Yes. So you are correct. A lot of people do not know that fraud is happening like in the workplace, as like on a everyday life, right? You have someone they go in and they clock in and they don't start working until an hour later because they're doing their own thing on the company's laptop. That is misappropriation of assets. So yes, you are correct. A lot of people think it has to be with big companies, Fortune 500 companies, but no, the little healthcare dentist office, 3 out of 5 dentist office incur fraud.
I believe you. I believe you on that.
Yes. So these like the small companies, that's where people steal money from. Yeah, from it's crazy. So yes, you are right. Any other one you want us to talk about?
And I don't think you guys always just work with law enforcement.
No.
There are many other operations. Um, and forensic accounting, I don't believe that you guys only deal with only financial fraud.
So it's usually around financial. Because even the misappropriation of asset, where I said payroll, people hiking up their hours, or people using the company laptop, it still kind of affect the numbers. Because there's always some numbers in there. There's always some financial aspect of it. It affects some part of your financial. And even like say for divorces, in divorces, it's money that we're talking about. So it affects the financials, you know. So,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, because earlier doing the research, what I had seen is that they also look into contract disputes and employee theft.
Right, but those they definitely but those affect the company's bottom line. Yeah.
Okay. So those are some, and some people believe like it's just cut and dry. It's just a cut and
Oh
dry.
no.
This is what happens, but there's more that go into it than we even know. So
Yes, and it's definitely not dry. It's juicy. It's juicy. It is juicy. I remember doing a case, I doing again, we're very confidential, so I'm just gonna say a case. I remember doing a case where this one of the spouse was like, oh, they can't afford to pay child support, but they're able to go to Germany, for however many days, and then we have to be digging through all the bank statements and listen. The other spouse was doing the most. And I'm like, look at that, but you can't do pay your child support. So it can get real juicy.
I think if people know about Bishop.
Yeah. Another thing that a lot of companies, they are not willing to spend the money because we do fraud prevention, right? So we don't just go in to investigate fraud or to detect fraud. We implement things that we say, hey, you can do this in your business to stop fraud from happening. So a lot of people, a lot of company owners, they don't want to spend the money to prevent it, but they're willing to spend the money to investigate it. So it's kind of like getting the information out there. Like prevention is better than cure, right? It's cheaper to prevent it than to cure it because now you have to pay for us to investigate it, and you already lost the money. So my biggest challenge in this area or this field is getting people to actually try to prevent theft before before it happens, or try to prevent fraud before it happens. So I don't know how I'm hosting like webinars and stuff trying to get that across, because so many times 98% of the times we are investigating fraud instead of preventing it. Yeah, so that's one of the biggest things that I'm trying to get out there. Like, hey, you can spend, say, for example, $1,000 to prevent fraud than to lose up to 20% in revenue. The ACFE, which is the Association of Certified Fraud Examiner, last year they said each company, the average company or healthcare company, I love working with healthcare company, they lost an average of 5% of their revenue each year to fraud. So imagine making, 100,000, you're losing 5,000 out of that. That's a lot of money. You could have spent like $1,000 to implement certain things, in your company to prevent it.
I think people just don't believe it will happen to them. That's
right.
What it is. I think you're doing a great deal in terms of going and educating people and saying, hey, educate yourselves about it, and let us come to your company to speak about it.
Right. That's one of the offers that we have, or programs that we have, is where we go in and we educate the employees on things to look for, things to do to prevent it. So yes.
Prevention is better than cure.
Part of my slogan each time is that prevention is better than cure.
Before you lose it.
Yes.
Tell us, where is it that we can find you?
So all over social media, as in I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Facebook, and it's Shieke Sharpe. I think my name is so unique. It's only going to be one Shieke Sharpe. So it's Shieke Sharpe on LinkedIn, it's Shieke Sharpe on Instagram. No, Shieke Sharpe CPA on Instagram, Shieke Sharpe on Facebook, Shieke Sharpe CPA on TikTok, and my website is shiekesharpe.com.
But you're everywhere, man.
Sorry, what was that?
You're everywhere.
Yes, I'm everywhere, literally. You are welcome.
And spreading this informative side to accounting, because as we said, not many people know about it.
Right.
heard about it before. So you're giving some people something to think about now. This is brand new and this is good. So thank you so much for sharing with us.
You are welcome.
No problem. And I want to thank my listeners for listening to the Unfiltered by Jade. And we'll be back next week, Tuesday. Thank you. Bam, 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 bam,